With a WWE star set to debut in AEW and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, don't forget to press that like button and make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on. Going over the reaction of those in WWE to the Mr. McMahon Netflix docuseries, WrestleVote said this in a Q&A session. I'm sure everybody watched it and everybody has those opinions, but in situations like this, maybe best to keep these opinions to yourself, and that's what was floating around yesterday and Friday on TV. You know you can talk amongst friends, but whatever opinion you have, keep those to yourself about this documentary. Touching on Vince McMahon's wife Linda's involvement in the Mr. McMahon Netflix docu-series, David Shoemaker, the consulting producer for the series, told the SI Media podcast, "I think it's clear from watching, you asked about Vince not giving you anything. Linda was not the most forthcoming person in that interview either. I think I was there for that one. I don't even remember if there was more good stuff on the cutting room floor. I certainly wish we could have gotten more details about that from her. It's a very business relationship, I would say." Recalling the segment between himself and Roman Reigns on Smackdown from the September 20th episode, Cody Rhodes said this on Undisputed: "I wish people could have been there on the ground to see how real our business can get. Never spoke, just stood on opposite sides of the field and walked towards each other, neither with knowledge of what the other would say and just going straight through. Hats off to Mr. Heyman, JB, Jeremy Borash, and Rob Fee for putting it in such a stylized manner. Reminded me of when world-class Championship Wrestling used to have credits roll after." For details on AEW's deal with Warner Bros. Discovery, Ringside News wrote that in the past 5 years, All Elite Wrestling has seen remarkable growth from bringing in top-tier talent to significantly improving its production quality, and many felt a new deal with Warner Bros. Discovery was on the horizon. Yesterday, AEW took another major step by announcing a new multi-year deal with Warner Bros. Discovery, and now the length of the deal has been revealed. As reported earlier, AEW and Warner Bros. Discovery have solidified a new multi-year media rights agreement extending their successful collaboration. While the specific financial terms were not publicly disclosed, it was noted that the deal is worth over $150 million annually. This deal includes AEW's flagship programs Dynamite and Collision, which will continue to air on TBS and TNT respectively. This marks a major step forward for AEW as it continues to strengthen its presence in the wrestling industry. According to a report from Sports Business Journal, the new deal with Warner Bros. Discovery is a 3-year agreement with an option for a 4th year, estimated to be worth $170 million. This includes both the rights fee and additional elements tied to the partnership. It is also to be noted that in January 2025, AEW programming will also stream live on Max for US subscribers, with shows available on demand, which is a big deal. With AEW's new big deal with Warner Bros. Discovery, 2025 is looking like an exciting year for the company. Fans are eager to see what new things might come from this partnership, like better production or new shows. The multi-year deal gives AEW financial stability and more chances to grow in the wrestling world. According to a report from Sports Business Journal, Warner Bros. Discovery does maintain a stake in AEW as part of the new deal. While the exact percentage of WBD's ownership has not been publicly disclosed, it's clear they have a financial interest in the company. Tony Khan has previously commented that while he wouldn't allow anyone to have voting control over AEW, he hasn't denied WBD's involvement. As reported earlier, AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation were discontinued due to AEW's agreement with Warner Bros. Discovery, which required exclusivity for new shows. This led to the decision to end the popular YouTube series. Additionally, AEW Rampage Rampage was notably absent from the recent TV deal announcement, sparking speculation that the show could be coming to an end. According to Fightful Select, however, there is a possibility that AEW Dark could be making a comeback. Under the new deal with WBD, AEW has regained certain rights, including those related to Dark. While nothing has been confirmed yet, internal discussions have hinted at bringing back the beloved show. Sean Ross Sapp reported on Fightful Select that Dynamite and Collision will continue to air on Wednesdays and Saturdays respectively, while AEW Rampage will no longer be broadcast on WBD. It was reported that originally Rampage was a show that WBD requested in 2021. However, with the new agreement, both parties have chosen to focus on Dynamite and Collision. WBD mentioned that Rampage could potentially find a new home, but no plans have been announced regarding the future of that brand. According to Sean Ross Sapp on Fightful Select, the current plan regarding the AEW library is to include the full libraries on Dynamite, Collision, and Rampage on Max. If Rampage moves to another platform, the library going forward will not be available on WBD. AEW also reportedly has a new Shockwave show coming to Fox. It is unclear where those shows will be stored, but AEW's current 3 shows archive are expected to land on Max. WrestleVotes reports that according to a source close to the situation, AEW's new deal with Warner Bros. Discovery is closer to $185 million per year, not the previously reported $150 million. Leveling some criticism towards NXT star Giulia, specifically her entrance attire, Bully Ray noted on Busted Open Radio. So when I see Giulia come out, I think she looks great if she's walking the runway for a photo shoot, but then you get in the ring and between the hair and the fur on the skirt and everything, it makes the athlete to me look like they're flailing around a lot more because everything is flying in so many directions. Don't get me wrong, it looks phenomenal, but it's a little too much. I'd like to see her scale back just a little bit on the gear. Following AEW Dynamite, World Champion Bryan Danielson said this to fans in attendance. "First of all, I'd like to thank Tony Khan. Without him, AEW wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have an alternative. It is better that AEW exists for the wrestlers, for the production people, and for professional wrestling fans. I first wrestled in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania 23 years ago. I don't know if you guys remember, but you were the crowd that made me into a WrestleMania main eventer. So I just wanted to say thank you, Pittsburgh. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank all the men and women in the back because they're the ones who made this place so great that I had a lifetime job at WWE, and I chose to come here because there were the best wrestlers in the world, the best fans in the world, and this is the best wrestling company in the world. Next week, check out Wrestle Dream. Because of Wrestle Dream in Tacoma, Washington, I'm going to kick Jon Moxley's head in." With him seemingly injured during a match prior to AEW Dynamite last night, an update was provided on Sammy Guevara as Ringside News noted that in a pre-show match against Serpentico, Guevara attempted a cutter off the ropes but did not get up after the move. AEW personnel rushed to the ring surrounding the Spanish God as they quickly tended to him. Guevara was eventually led off on a stretcher, raising alarm among fans and officials alike. Brian Alvarez provided an update on Wrestling Observer Radio, revealing that while the situation initially seemed serious, Guevara was later in the trainer's room and appeared to be doing better. However, he has entered concussion protocol for the time being. Dave Meltzer further confirmed that the belief is Guevara sustained a concussion during the match, saying the belief is he has a concussion. Speaking about his goals in pro wrestling, Kenny Omega, who has been out of action for nearly a year from AEW, told New Japan Pro Wrestling, "First priority is making my return, but if I can come back, I do want to face the Young Bucks. I want revenge, but more importantly, I want to do it the right way. The first time Tanahashi and I wrestled, it was for the belt, and then in 2019, it was a lot on the line for the both of us. Now, with the two of us aligned, next time we wrestle, I'd want to do it together. I've been a bad guy for a lot of my time, time, especially in AEW. I cheated to win the AEW title. I don't want that to be the memory of myself that stays with young fans. If Tanahashi and I meet in that ring again, I'd want to do it as his partner. Recalling his return to pro wrestling in August of 2021 on an episode of AEW Rampage, CM Punk told the No Contest Wrestling podcast, "That was legit a thank you. Thank you for 7 years of chanting my name. I do have a little bit of sympathy and empathy for the people that were always in the ring when that was going on. I think a lot of sourness and maybe hard feelings some people have for me is because of that. They're busting their ass and they're chanting for me. Anytime they were in Chicago, there was anticipation or hope that I'd show up. That's why I spent $40,000 on ice cream bars when I came back in 2021, because that was legit a thank you. I wouldn't be anywhere and I wouldn't be back here if it wasn't for a great many circumstances, but one of them is the fans, especially in Chicago." Talking about his return to WWE at Survivor Series last year, CM Punk said this during that same interview, "But there were just so many people in there and I don't know what to do. I absolutely lose my composure. All I know is I'm coming out, but I don't know what the set looks like. I don't know if there's a ramp. I'm literally in the dark. So I'm trying to talk to Triple H over the table. And it's so loud and there's so many people and they hit my music and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing?" And he's like, "Go out and walk down to the cage." And I'm like, "Go out and walk all the way down to the cage?" He was trying to tell me that there was 2 cages for the baby faces and the heels for War Games, and he wanted me to walk down and stand in between them. So in my head, I'm like, I'm marching all the way to the cage, and he's like, "No, my music's playing and we're going back and forth and we're both freaking out." He went, "No," and he rips his headset off, and I'm like, oh god, what are we doing? Obviously we figured it out, but the chaos backstage, I mean, it's last minute. There's so much stuff going on back there and they film everything now, so I'm sure someday we're gonna see a lot of cool stuff. It was just such a great moment and I love that chaos and that uncertainty again. I was like, man, I could just drink it up all day, but when the music hit, it was deafening. Also, CM Punk's contract negotiations with WWE prior to this recent return would be revealed, as Ringside News wrote that during a conversation on the No Contest Wrestling podcast with O'Shea Jackson Jr. and TJ Jefferson, Punk revealed that he hadn't signed a contract with WWE before making his return. When asked if there was a possibility he could have left the Allstate Arena without a deal, Punk admitted it was a close call. "Personally, there could have been a possibility if there were some hard no's in the contracts, but I think both sides were eager. Then you get the lawyers involved and it's a lot," Punk said, reflecting on the high-stakes situation. He then shared a behind-the-scenes glimpse into his return, recalling being whisked through the building and placed in a freight elevator before being led to Triple H's office. "I hear them on the other side yelling, 'Clear the hallway.' Oh no, I'm not that guy now," Punk recounted. Punk described sitting in the office while War Games was starting, waiting for the lawyers to finalize the deal. Eventually, Triple H came in and reassured him, saying, "If this gets done, we'll wait, and when the time is right, we'll bring you in through Gorilla." Finally, with the contracts executed, Punk stepped through Gorilla and into the WWE spotlight once again, solidifying his return to the company after a decade away. Talking about Raw moving from the USA Network to Netflix, Cody Rhodes said this on the Pat McAfee show: "Netflix is going to be huge for us. We're going up in terms of our public spotlight." Rhodes explained he compared WWE's rise to the success of college football and the NFL, calling them the biggest forces in sports. "We're moving up and trying to get in that air. If you know anything about what we're doing, we're not far off. Netflix, I think, is definitely a big part of that." On X, AEW announced that commentator for the company Taz had been attacked in a parking lot prior to Dynamite. This appears to be a storyline, as Christian Cage could be the one that attacked Hook's father. Mentioning the future of Konosuke Takeshita in AEW, Fightful Select reported that he's competed in Blood and Guts and a number of AEW and IWGP title eliminators, and has been viewed as a future top star for the company. We're told that ascent could start sooner than later. We're told that as things stand, it would be the biggest push he's seen in AEW, and hopefully further establish him as an upper card talent. Following Jon Moxley's promo on AEW Dynamite last night, it was insinuated that someone was orchestrating this plan for the likes of Moxley, Castagnoli, Pac, and Shafir. Many online reacted to who they thought the person Moxley was talking about in his promo to Danielson, writing, "Shane McMahon is coming to AEW. Everything adds up. Mox's shoot stuff fits in with Shane McMahon's Raw Underground vision. It's the only thing that makes sense for me, especially when they asked who is forcing Mox's hand. Wonder how people will react to Shane McMahon. Not gonna lie, Shane McMahon on AEW would get me to watch, and if Tony Khan actually listened to his advice, it's the Invasion IRL. BCC in the NWO role as the ex-WWE wrestlers looking to disrupt things. Shane McMahon as their Bischoff, the Elite in the Four Horsemen role as the heels who have been here since day one, albeit with some lineup changes along the way. How do people feel about Shane McMahon possibly being in AEW? Shane McMahon will do nothing for the decline in viewers for AEW. Y'all are stupid if you think this is Shane McMahon. I bet it's Josh Barnett." As the Hurt Business seems to be coming back together in AEW, this was said regarding Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin. We're told that the three all nailed down their deals a number of weeks ago. With Lashley seemingly signed as well, it remains to be seen when he shows up on programming. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.